Hi, this is Pete Lyons with Let's Play Salesforce, and today we're doing an interview with Rikke Hovgaard. So, Rikke, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Ricky, and I am an implementation consultant for a Platinum Partner in London. I work with Einstein Analytics, but I also specialize within marketing automation. So I help our customers get the most out of both marketing automation, but of course also Einstein Analytics.
Tell us a little bit about your Dreamforce session.
Yeah, so I guess my Dreamforce session is about, well, of course, Einstein Analytics. My aim for the presentation lies within trying to actually help admins get started with Einstein Analytics. So it's very much aimed towards the beginners. I'm going to talk about how to ramp up your dashboards. So it's going to be around design principles, using filters and different selections within Einstein Analytics. And I'm also going to do a demo on how to use compare tables.
All right, and tell us about your blog.
Yeah, my blog. So I have a blog, salesforceblogger.com, and on there I use it to write a lot of how-to guides, to be honest. I started it because I found that a lot of the documentation around Einstein Analytics was, to be honest, very limited, and I found a lot of the times I was stuck. So whenever I played around with the Wave or Einstein Analytics, I finally found my solution. I thought there are probably going to be other people like me that have no idea how this had to be done and could use some help. So I decided to start blogging about it. So that's why you can find I have a lot of different things. So I think some of it is very basic. Other things are a little bit more advanced with bindings and some SACL, but I try to keep it very much basic and how you can, just utilize more tools within Einstein Analytics. I also have included some marketing automation, so some of it will, be within Pardot Marketing Cloud, and sometimes I tie it together into Einstein Analytics.
So now, how you mentioned that when you were getting started, that the documentation was pretty sparse. When and how did you get started with Wave?
I think it must be around 2 years ago, maybe a little bit more, to be honest. So in Europe, Einstein Analytics didn't come out right away. We had to wait a little bit. So, but when it did come out, they had some brown belt trainings, and I was lucky enough to be invited for the one in Paris. So I attended that one. That was pretty much my first introduction to Wave. After that, I did some POCs, and later on, I worked on different clients. So kind of since the past 2.5 years, I've been working with Einstein Analytics. Find it quite fun, and definitely a step up from Salesforce reporting.
So tell us your thoughts about the community and different interactions you've had with it.
To be honest, I find that the community for Wave is a lot better than other communities. So again, I'm not only working with Wave, I'm also working with marketing automation. And whenever I have issues around that, it doesn't seem like the response is as quick as it is with Wave. So I definitely find that if you go into the success community and participate into the Wave group, it's really good feedback. You can get anything from response to your SACL queries to, I have no idea how to approach this solution or this problem. How can you guys help? So I use that a lot when I'm stuck.
So then, as an implementation partner, tell us about your role in customer success.
So I think my role is pretty broad. I go in and I help all the way from the beginning when customers are considering Einstein Analytics, and I stay through the project all the way till the end when they want training. So my role would not so much be implementation, like the physical creation of the dashboards anymore. I might work on POCs, but I think I'm more involved in the project as a subject matter expert. But yeah, I go in, kind of help advise them in terms of how do you get the best value out of the solution, both from the very beginning all the way to the end. And yeah.
So, what do you think are the key factors to a successful implementation?
I think that's a very good question. I think it's also a very hard question because I think it also depends on the solution and the client that you have at hand. But one of the key things I would say is probably understanding the data. Understanding what is it that you're getting in. Is it from Salesforce? Is it from external sources? And then understand how you actually have to look at this data in order to make it meaningful. One of the best ways to do that is, of course, looking at the audience of the different dashboards that you're going to design. So I think that's something that you need to nail down from the beginning. Yeah, and another thing I also think is very important is of course educate their users early on. So go into a dialogue and make sure they understand how Wave works, because it is very different from operational reporting in Salesforce. And in order to get most out of it, I think you need to understand all the selection options, the filter options that you have, and that way you can empower your dashboards a lot more.
So, what do you think the best practices are around user adoption?
Again, I would go back to understanding who your audience is. If you know who actually is going to view your dashboard, you can target the dashboards a lot better, and you can answer the questions that they might have. Another thing I don't want to do in my dashboard is make them too complex, because, again, as I said before, if you put in a lot of filters and selections, which is a really good option and a really good thing to do in your dashboards, if you do too much of it, you also end up confusing users, and they're not actually going to get any benefit out of the dashboard, and they're not going to get that data story that you want to show them. So definitely know your audience. That's key. But also start looking at where can you put your dashboards. One thing is having it directly on the platform, but there's a lot of opportunities to embed your dashboards different places. So that can be on your account object, or if there's any other relevant pages in Salesforce that you want to put it on. That could also be sometimes, if you want to put it on communities, if that makes sense, that's something I would do. And then again, training. If people don't have training, if they don't knowledge of how this is working, they're not going to adopt it either. So I think very early on, you want to make sure that your users are educated around the platform, at least the key users that are going to build dashboards. But even those people that are going to work with it, they need to have a proper introduction. They should be involved early on to kind of get their say in what is it they need to see in a dashboard.
And so what are some features within the last couple of releases that you think are really empowering for end users?
I think it's a really hard question, because the past year, I think, has been really great in terms of enabling the end user. I think just a year ago, you had to do a lot of things in JSON. And if you're not a JSON whiz, it was going to be hard for you to actually get a lot of value, or, more value out of the solution. So I think the Flex Designer has really given them some powerful things. For instance, the page layouts that you can now design directly in the UI. I think that's really great, and it was a tedious task before, and that has helped a lot. I also think that binding in the data sets, that's really good to be able to do that in the UI. Really powerful. And then also the introduction of recipes. I wouldn't say the recipes is fully developed, but I really like the idea about it, that you can do some transformations directly within Einstein Analytics. And again, if I have to look at the latest release, it's probably not going to be anything major. But one thing I've been using a lot the past week, designing some dashboards, is being able to see what fields are in my data set. So it's a simple thing, but it's really powerful.
Yeah, and what's really great about that data sets field feature is that we actually do have some XMD modifications that we can do for, reformatting numbers or relabeling our columns as well, or even if we just want to hide system fields like an is valid checkbox so that the end users can't get to that. Yeah, that is a really great feature. I got to agree with you entirely that within the last, 3 to 4 releases, uh, the tool's really come into its own, and it's just amazing to see how rapidly that's accelerated. So, what are some features or just changes to the tool that you'd like to see, and a general direction that you'd like to see it move in the future?
I would like to see that some of those things that are really hard to do, that they become more easy to do. So by that I mean, SACL, that sort of stuff. For a lot of people, that's actually hard to do. So I think if you can do more calculations within the UI, that would be great. Another thing that I'm really looking forward to see how that is playing out is the recipes. Um, I'm keen on seeing how many basically how many different transformations you can do. One thing I'm really looking forward to and hoping for is that the formulas within the transformation of the recipes, that you can do a little bit more advanced stuff, kind of like what you have in Salesforce's formula fields. I think that would be really great if you can start utilizing some of those elements. Another thing I think would be great is to see some more plug and play connectors into, well-known databases. And I think lately we've seen some like the Marketing Cloud, but also, just Informatica, all kinds of connectors that are easy to set up.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more on that one because oftentimes such a crucial question is, well, how are we going to get the data in, and then we end up in that all too common discussion of is it going to be build or is it going to be buy, and I would love to see something like dataset utils get fully kind of adopted and grafted into the real product, because being able to just easily connect to a SQL server or any kind of repository for CSVs in some sort of automated fashion would be a real boost to productivity and just keeping the system efficient. Really looking forward to see you at Dreamforce. Again, this is Rikke Hovgaard, and thank you for joining us. And there will be links in the description to her blog as well as to her Dreamforce session. So if you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, tell a friend, and as always, thanks for watching.